Hello, this is gonna be a kind of a review video in which I'm gonna check out every classic Mega Man game and review and show the best stage in my book, which of course means one Robot Master stage and one Fortress stage. And I'm gonna do it so that I'm gonna play it with a whole stage, commentating on stage design and aesthetics and all that, and the boss fight. And it bases on many criteria, as in to say how fun the stage is to play, how nice it looks and all that, and what kind of basically how good the stage is. And I'm skipping Mega Man 7 and 8 because I don't feel they are as high level as Mega Man Classic series of 1 to 6 and not Retro part 9 to 10. 11, I don't know anything about it, but it's a quite quite expensive to get, and it's quite short, as in something like Mega Man 2 level of short, and with that price nowadays it would be a bad deal. So, but it's still time to start with the first Mega Man game. From 6 initial Robot Masters of the first Mega Man game, shown here in the defeated form and the Sneaky Master, it is that I came to the conclusion that the best one is Bobman's stage. Which of course, well, Bobman's himself design is really silly with that mohawk, but his stage is actually good. Showcasing that even at this quite, you could say, rudimentary phase of Mega Man game with just very simple background patterns, they had an idea about how to place the stage themes because of these jumping or per se up flying grenades or whatever they are, can't remember their names, already provide some kind of thematic connection to the rest of the stage, that yes, it's a bomb man, so of course there must be something explosive in it. And of course then there's the visual showing of the stage hazard spikes, and I don't know what these balls at the background are, maybe they are some sort of futuristic cities, or maybe not, and of course the introduction of Sniper Joe. The very recurring enemy in the series, and a real pest as well. And of course, because of its Bombman, there's also flying bombs coming at you with the, basically, these early Mega Man games, or let's say Mega Man 1, did have moments where they just basically recycle stage obstacles, several stage obstacles, but with some sort of twist of adding some enemies or something else, because this screen, exactly this screen was earlier, but now it leads to completely different space, and which of course leads to the, you might say, the most difficult part of the stage, even though it really isn't that difficult, even with this part of having the intimidating shoots every direction thingamajiggery. And but of course, with a little bit of timing, that part was easily solved. Nothing like that. And some ladders, and another Sniper Joe guarding a 1-up. But of course, using the Ice Slasher, they get real easily stomped, because I of course have all the weapons. Ice Beam is, or the Ice Slasher is just so useful at making enemies stay where they are, so we can then switch into other weapons and blow them up, which is a real nice trait that this, you could say, stopper weapon or time stopper or predecessor could say. Then of course Bobman's stage has this unique approach from above gimmick in the boss corridor, which Mega Man 1 boss corridors were longer than all the later ones, even though Dr. Wily bosses might be approached from above or below, but this is the only time a Robot Master has been approached from above. So, and of course Bobman himself gives quite an interesting fight, even though he's of the easy Robot Masters. He does the jumping around with his big bomb, does a big jump just to be ready to actually lob those bombs at you. I know it would be so much if his weapon taken from him would be as good as he has it, but he just actually is quite simple boss. And with this, the best stage of Robot Master stage of Megaman 1 has been defeated. The best fortress stage is Dr. Wily, or better say fortress stage number 2, starting with this quite soothing little blue background with the first Dr. Wily music in background, giving you the quite you could say easy following after the quite brutally difficult first Dr. Wily stage. And of course it has quite many highlights, including a rematch, first of the rematches, and the illusory wall against first fight, of course, against Cutman. I don't know if this I did not know, did they make it subliminal that, yeah, this is the actual order you were supposed to beat the bosses. But Cutman, of course, went down quite easily, and even without his weakness, he's a pushover, because I don't think any other Robot Master ever takes 3 pips of damage from basic pea-shooter or buster or however you wanna call it. And of course it's followed by this another little sequence of running bits and pieces, and of course one more little boss encounter. And because these stages can be dashed through so quickly, I might actually just be commentating all the time through this stage, because well, it ain't really that long. But of course now as a basically all perils are off segment parts to show these all little bomblets appearing from the Bombman stage, because now we are in Dr. Wily stages and bombs are approaching. And of course more familiar monstrosities, including a 1-up balloon up there, which I'm not gonna get through these things, and of course giving a bit of trap if you decide to drop right through it with the spikes, which are very instantly deadly. So yeah, there's this interesting little descent down this tunnel, or however you wanna call it, with some interesting diagonal lines as well, just to make the level design more interesting, and giving very much chances for your extra weapons to show their opposite might. And while I'm at it, it's time to face basically one of the more interesting bosses of the game as well. The clone machine, or clone machine, however you wanna call it. And in Dr. Wily stages, the boss arenas can be maybe accessed some other bizarre ways. So it doesn't always vary. It ain't really. And this is also interesting that the boss gets a life bar of the same wipe as Megaman himself carries. So it's quite interesting little detail. Damn it, I'm fighting quite brutally against... Oh, he defeated me, but that should tell me that why this stage is really good. And of course, even if you got defeated, you're right back right where you started. So, Dr. Wily Stage 2, the best fortress stage of Megaman 1. Time to jump to Megaman 2, which came out a year later and is such a vast improvement, even though first Mega Man game is already good, but Mega Man 2 is just so much better. In about a year's development, Capcom, using the same engine, improved already a good game, which is the Mega Man 1, to an absolute masterpiece of a game, which is of course Mega Man 2, perhaps the best of the classic series, with its massively better looking visuals. Despite basically using the same visuals, it just looks much better, and of course with the 8 new intimidating Robot Masters. Well, and from them I could say that only 2 stages are something that you could say that are not good to start with, unlike with as in Mega Man 1, in which 3 of them were something that you don't want to start if you are just a complete newbie. And of course in this case the stage's difficulty is not because of the boss, but because the stage themselves, which say Quickman and Heatman are stages that you don't want to start bare. And Crashman is something like a in-between, because this stage is easy, or quite easy to tackle, but he himself can be quite tough for but after quite careful consideration, I did find that the best Robot Master stage of Mega Man 2 is Metal Man. With the birds, which don't appear in his stage. And he, of course, has quite intimidating look with the puzzle plate in his head. But right from the start, Metal Man stage just shows that how much improvement there was for the earlier one. There's moving background elements, there's conveyor belts, music is absolutely as great as it used to be in the, or as it was in Mega Man 1, despite the hardware being exactly the same. And of course, all the other gameplay quirk improvements like password system, and no need to any superfluous points counter, which of course in the more arcade-based action shooters like Contra, in which getting enough points would give you 1-ups. In Mega Man they were just completely pointless, so they dropped it because there's no need for it. And of course E-tanks themselves were massive, you could say, difficulty adjuster, making that you would not have to just try again, you could just tank right through to any boss, meaning that basically this game would be much easier to complete, even though 1-ups and all others were a bit stingier as well. So generally you could say that the designing skill went up quite big with all that, but generally you could say that all the improvements were absolutely useful. And of course the Metal Man stage doesn't have so much of, you could say, enemy combat. It's much more about just basic platforming, a little bit shooting, and this is perhaps you could say the most interesting stage. But of course getting hit, knocked back is quite unpleasant, especially if you are in a phase where they can knock you off. And of course with the conveyor belts, knockback is gonna be much worse. Oh, I took a hit there. And I'll be playing through these stages either until I complete them, or if I get killed by the boss or whatever obstacle there is. And I'll of course playing the difficulty as well. Oh, thank you for the 1-up. And now it's time for to show the jump glitch. Reset the jumping drop falling speed glitch. Very handy trick to employ. With this, the Metal Man stage has already been passed, so it's time to go and give himself a bit of a beating or get shredded by him. Which of course means that the boss music also way much better in this one, but that applies of course just the general meaning, not related to Metal Man himself. And his boss fight is also quite interesting because of his reactive AI. Meaning that, yeah, this is not so much of a battle of maneuvering, it's a shootout. And Metal Man can give quite a big, well, he has endless amount of firepower, of course, because, well, it's this kind of genre where you don't have to worry about running out of ammo. But he went down, and with this, perhaps the me best Robot Master stage of Mega Man 2 is defeated. Was there any doubt about what would be the best fortress stage of Mega Man 2? It would of course be Dr. Wily's first stage, because this is just absolute masterpiece of a stage. It has the very brilliant music. It feels a real-ish location that many platforming games fail to achieve, in the sense that it has some real sense of progression in it, not just in the sense that it has all the level design elements, which is to say obstacles and enemies, which it does have, because, well, it must have them, but it also gives a sense that Mega Man is actually going somewhere. It's not just a arbitrary level that was built to make the game because, well, there has to be a level. It's just completely real place, obviously, feels much more real. And of course the absolutely brilliant music doesn't hurt that part at all. This stage is just... You can say that this stage doesn't have so much of a highlight, because the whole stage itself is nothing but a highlight. Because it started with some kind of airport station, which is now altering into climbing higher and higher in this location, maybe to the roof of the fortress, or however you wanna call it. And with all the obstacles that demand you to use all your previous gained abilities, just to hammer home that yes, these are now Dr. Wily stages that we didn't need to follow the rule of having to be beatable or almost be quasi-beatable with your regular P-shooter and abilities. No, in here they were able to add completely new abilities, or let's say demand you to use your items. And of course the final stretch of the level, which is complete highlight, the highlight of the highlights, is of course the black void, which suddenly then shifts and blasts out the Mega Dragon, which is absolutely intimidating at this era when this was made. And the battleground is a very small little gap. Mega Dragon's ability to kill you with one hit by contact is absolutely brutal. So this whole stage is perfect. It's intimidating, it's fun, and it's absolutely masterfully designed. Megaman 3, about a year later. There was some problems with this game's making, but it does have a nice intro music, of course. And it uses the classic Megaman slanted logo. So there's a little bit of a, you could say, feeling of a not that big step forward design-wise, but it's still time to go to and check out the best Robot Master stage of this one. And this one also had very, very impressive array of Robot Masters to defeat. But of course the one I refer to as my personal favorite is Sparkman. He looks intimidating because of his size and his electric abilities, and the stage has magnificent music with all the flashy lights and all that, and electric arcs in the background, electric motors in the background, making this feel much, you could say, it's a really fun, and of course all the thematically correct electric arc enemies and all drop from the high locations, and all those make the stage feel really cohesive in theme. This is the electricity and electronics stage, which of course means they all must appear here, and of course the Robot Master himself is completely capable of all that as well. So, but still, the stage's obstacles also are very potent as well, bringing forth all these rising spike platforms. And of course, there was some damage I had to take just to avoid getting myself crushed. But luckily, game designers were able to figure out that hey, somebody might just tank right through all those obstacles, so they gave you some extra health up there, which of course would also tutorialize the use of the rush coil, which was the new item. Generally, this stage doesn't have so much enemy combat, it's much more about platforming challenges, which is of course seem to be, I'd say, the better part, because Mega Man games are should be much more about maneuvers and environmental hazards than just shooting your way through the enemies. And of course, there would be also another little moment of obstacles, but this time the final stretch of the stage would be a bit more merciless in sense of having more nastier enemies appear at you. But I got through it. I quite often would use the rush coil to get through this. But it's time to go and face Sparkman himself, who is quite intimidating as well, with the new boss music as well, because of his hopping blast ability and the fact that his moving can feel a bit erratic. I do not so sure how he's gonna how he's oh, he actually seems to be jumping right on these. So what to say, when he's not that near to you, you have better chance of defeating him. Yeah, Sparkman has a great stage and great boss as well. So that concludes the best Robot Master stage of Mega Man 3 with a handy loading of Spark. Now, I am actually quite certain that you could say Dr. Wily's Porter Stage number 3 is my favorite in this one, even though first one also gives quite good, strong contention. For some bizarre reason, the first portion stages tend to be really good ones. I don't know why, maybe because they actually mean that you have to use all your game's special abilities, which of course in the NES era they really couldn't add so much interactivity with the main weapon series that you would basically they could just that there was much less basically things you could do with these weapons, but they had a chance of adding all the necessary. But they made it possible that you would have to be using jets, or there would be obstacles that you would have to blow up using specific weapon. Of course, they would usually also add some weapon energy right before that, those places. But Dr. Wily's Stage 3 is perhaps that you could say as a whole best. It has this really interesting moving platform space, which well, it would go up later, and which as well, right, didn't actually appear anymore after that. And despite having, and it doesn't even have such an, you could say, really intimidating boss either, having actually quite simple boss in form of hologram Mega Man clones, or however you wanna call it. And of course there was no actual boss corridor as well. And yeah, the clone machine. Let's just bring out the needles. So your needle done. Yeah, interesting little gimmick boss and a nice platforming stage. Nothing more complex. Now, Mega Man 4 introduced Dr. Cossack, who hasn't then reappeared at all, which I find to be quite annoying because, well, he isn't just a disguise or reprogrammed, he's actually a real antagonist, and it's a shame he hasn't done reappearance. But from his 8 initial Robot Masters and their stages, I am quite certain that the Dive Man is the best. Yeah, the water stage with a silly snorkel-headed Robot Master is the best. Usually water stages would not be the best, but this one is mostly because of the colorings and stylings of the stage. It makes it feel very much like it would be some sort of tropical stage instead of usually dour, murky level that water stages tend to be. But this one is brightly lit, tropical, feels much more, you could say, lively and vibrant than usually water stages may feel. And of course, inclusion of the making the basically adding the new Mega Buster, of course. Well, charging attack, not that much. And of course, for some reason I got the feeling that after the Mega Man 2, every water stage has had, instead of water stages have had spikes in them. Iceman stage was not only slippery stage, it also had a little water segment in it, which was, of course, wasn't so much of a, well, they hadn't brought out the water physics yet, so it wasn't really matter. But Diamond stage has water physics, it has spikes, and it's actually quite nice, very nice stage. It's not particularly weird, and it feels pleasant stage, which of course would be then a getting quite nasty surprise from Diamond himself, who, despite being very predictable, is everything but, you could say, easy to defeat. He must be defeated with the Gold Herd, and of course the Death Pit, leading to a quite handy little treat, with of course some spike maneuvers that you have to do. And Megaman's got a nice glowy clean, so that's also an interesting, nice little addition to this. Well, it's a nice addition to Mega Man 4, but it was a nice addition to the stage itself. So the little bonus you could get from this complete secret aid. And it's a real shame that that ability also hasn't appeared again, even though there was a similar, which to say, well, I'd say that the arm wire would be something like a Capcom ripping off itself from the Final Commando series. But in general sense, it's not that necessary, and they haven't brought out any, well, weapons which would serve similar function. Well, there has been some, now I can't remember its name, but it had quite similar purpose in Mega Man 8, some sort of, you could use it as a grappling beam a bit. But Diamond stage is just a nice little topical starter for the beginning of the actually quite tough, where robot masters can dish out shitloads of damage real fast. But Diamond is a good start because of these torpedo attacks, and yeah, he's got the homing missile attack. And as long as he's basically with the firing, things are going easy. And of course you have to take bit jumps over him a bit more controllably, because, well, if you are just so high, he's gonna just pop out those torpedoes and rip you apart. But nice starter stage for actually quite, well, it's a nice starter stage. So that's it. Best for Mega Man 4. Now, at the Mega Man 4, the best fortress stage is actually Dr. Cossack Fortress Stage number 3, which is the first auto-scroller stage, giving it a bit of unique flavor, and of course having a great music, but also the fact that, well, I just like it. It has this, with the main map, it shows that the Mega Man is going higher in the castle levels, going for the wall. So of course they would make the level have the sky theme with all these big clouds at the background, giving it a, you could say, somehow geographically competent. And of course the fact that because the music is just so damn great, this is a real fun stage to play through. And of course auto-scrolling makes also that it's got a quite nice pacing for, you could say, Mega Man stage, in that it really doesn't feel something that you might get stuck into, or you would get into the, you could say, pushed too far that you couldn't have time to observe any elements of it. So these elements are actually made very prominently visible. So let's just keep playing with the regular style. So, this stage, simple platforming, auto-scrolling, but not too fast, not too slow auto-scrolling, not too much enemies, these nice little onion domes in the background to give some sort to really hammer home that Dr. Cossack is Soviet, no, not Russian, Soviet, and of course, and all that. And they never actually made it certain that what was his first name. I would say that well, it's Thomas Like and Albert Wiley, so it might be something Russian, maybe Boris, or well, Boris would feel quite appropriate. And of course, the boss of this stage is also quite interesting, being the robot monsters shuffling to the rooftop, occasionally shooting all kinds of bullets at you, being actually blown up quite nice and simple like. So yeah, the real platforming elements give a bit more, you could say, suspense to the battle. Otherwise it goes down quite easily. So, real nice stage to play through with a great music, nice theme, and good boss. A good Mega Man level. Now, Mega Man 5 felt to be a bit of the classic series felt to be going into a bit of a slump, as in that Mega Man 5 felt technically much inferior when compared to the first one, but I must say that the best stage of this one, Robot Master stage, is the Gravity Man. And of course, the reason for that is his level gimmick, which is quite unique. It hasn't appeared any earlier. Even though the stage itself feels quite bland, being simplistic platformings and all that, but the fact that it introduces the gravity shifting mechanic with with these nice little portals and all that, and making you actually play through quite big chunks of this stage inverted, which makes it it makes the quite, you could say, regular Mega Man stage obstacles much more interesting with the reversed gravity, with the power-ups falling wrong direction and all that. Real fun stage because of its gimmick, not actually because of the stage design, elements of the stage design itself, which are quite lackluster for a Mega Man game. Generally, well, Mega Man 5, in a sense, feels a bit lackluster. It's something like odd-numbered, or even odd-numbered Mega Man games are not that good, except, well, Mega Man 7 isn't so good either. But the same, of course, applies to 8 as well, that they both are much weaker than the predecessor ones. Although of those two, I might say that the 7 is the less. Well, Mega Man X really did try to did add the swimming move, which, well, didn't feel so good. Even though I would say that somebody, Mega Man being that dense, being made of dense stuff, might be able to swim. Or better say, if he would swim, why not make it so that he would swim like as a power-up move? But still, Gravity Man stage, real fun gimmick, and of course the boss fight itself using the same gimmick as a prominent part of it, makes it much more, you could say, interesting battle to face. mostly because of the timing puzzle involved. And of course with the aid of Starman's weapon, this would be a much easier battle, mostly because of the gimmicky oh, looks like I'm gonna get a hang of it. And of course the fact that the ah, damn it. Well, he took me down, but still, this is a nice stage. Now, the best fortress stage of Mega Man 5 actually happens at the first set of the fortresses, but not in the, you could say, the first stage of those fortress stages, but it's the third one. Third Proto Man fortress stage is my favorite. It's the favorite one of this one. Mostly because of, well, in Mega Man 5 the fortress stages feel a bit, you could say, less refined as they were in, at least definitely as in Mega Man 2, which had absolutely masterpiece fortress stages, and Mega Man 3 also had pretty good ones, and 4 as well. But this one just, well, generally fortress stages of Mega Man 5 they are not as great as they used to be, but still good enough. And okay, there was a chance to actually use the coil to fix if you fail the platforming. And I do like this stage, not because of the cheery music, because, well, as cheery as the music is in Mega Man 5, stage settings or set pieces, however you want to call them, tend to be a bit favor of the, you could say, sudden death style, in which that there's very much big risk of sudden death almost all the time, like in jumping or combat, practical combat as well. Even though Mega Man does have a life bar, he can't take more than one hit, but this stage doesn't play it so well. But I do like it, mostly because of it's best of the worst, or best of the bad ones. And it does have some sort of very coherent theme inside the stage itself, having this dark background with stars makes it feel that it's either night or very high in the sky, which of course, well, both things give it a bit more visually more interesting. And just a little trick using the rush coil to get the E-tank, and then just blitzing right through the rest of this platforming section with the enemies. Yeah, Rush Jet, after Mega Man 3 completely broken form, has been made into that flight thing. And that thing it made a big failure with solving that one. But not you. You are gonna. And yeah, and that too. That kind of big boss, big mid-tier, big enemy, which still, when it dies, there's no big blast or anything. It's just the same kind of poof, flashing away and smack like any other, just maybe even less powerful sound than with those ones. So, and of course, 2 1-ups in this stage. 1-ups in Mega Man 5 are, well, it feels that it's much easier for you to find yourself a 1-up instead of life up. Oh damn it! Did I do some kind of unrecoverable mistake by that? If if I did, I have to dig out the jet. Nope, it's not unrecoverable, it's just the fact that you have to make it time. Oh yeah, and this is the second, this kind of what you would call it, worm segment, how you wanna call it. And this time there's no spikes and much more easily handled enemies as well. But the boss of the fourth stage, number 3, I could call it a bit of a boss. I'm not saying that it cannot be defeated, because it can very much be defeated. It's just very boring, this little sniper robot or whatever, how you wanna call it. Just walking about. It's just not that, you could say, interesting. Weaker crash kick, dodge kick. No, it wasn't. And not a power stone either. And that boss's worst ability is just the fact that it's the stunning beam, not the boss's own attack itself, but the damn stun move it has. Because it's quite difficult to dodge. It's not impossible to dodge, and dodging him at the same time is frustratingly annoying. This is a, you could say, battle of attrition. But I was taking it out. So kind of a nice stage with a letdown of a boss, which tends to be very much the story of Megaman-stages. Now, Megaman 6 might have ended the classic series as well. Then a bit of a downer note, but after consideration, the best robot master stage is Windman. Despite him looking quite goofy, his stage is actually quite is actually much more solid, and it does feel like that when the Super NES had already come out, and Capcom was much more busy doing other games in their roster, like Mega Man X games, which means that the classic series or the outdated NES didn't get that much attention, which of course in a sense might have led to the decline of the games themselves. But Windman stage does have a gimmick. Well, most stages of Mega Man 6 do have some sort of gimmick, but Windman stage actually not necessarily. Well, there's the water theme stage, and there's the there are the fire theme stage, but Windman stage does, well, it has a gimmick, but it's something like which has been not previously seen gimmick much of these lifting fans, which add quite interesting little stylings to the stage mechanics, pushing you up, downwards, making the platform a bit difficult, and of course these swinging platforms as well that you have to trigger, jump on them, and get over them. And if you don't have any rush jet to aid you, there is some bit of difficulty because of, well, it's a heaven's sky stage, meaning that there's plenty of pits or spikes for you to fall into. And Mega Man 6 tends to have quite a lot of spikes, like in this room, or how you wanna call it, just because of, well, make things more interesting. But I still find that the last Mega 6 and 5 are still very solid Mega Man games. They definitely are not that kind of messy as in earlier, or to say later, 2 Mega Man games, which would appear on separate platforms and with completely different art styles, and which would feel, well, bigger sprites means of course more details, but that also means smaller sets, which of course means much more cramped space. Which isn't always so good, and of course the physics in Mega Man 6 and 5 feel a bit different than what they were in the... Well, the Capcom did fine-tune them all the time, so that doesn't matter much, but the stage is good. It feels... Windman stage feels good. It has gimmick which it follows, it feels thematically correct, and even though Windman himself is a bit of a silly one. Because I'm not certain that there's a room where, say, maybe Capcom had some sort of contests after Mega Man 1 that let's outsource the designs to... Let's outsource the Robot Master designs to somebody, to audience, just a handy little publicity stunt and a trick, and how in hell did they wind up with some goofy looking thing like Windman? I don't know. But Windman stage is the best of worst, or best of bad stages. So that's it. Now, at the heavy consideration about the best portrait stage of Mega Man 6, it has to be done, or said, that the best portrait stage of Mega Man 6 is the last of them. With very simple virtue, it's the last of them. Generally, you could say that the level design in Mega Man 6, and generally the whole design of Mega Man 6, even despite quite many years of technical development and study, feels very lackluster and weak. As in that levels, Robot Masters themselves have good designs, but the levels they have been placed in are absolutely haphazard messes. And so there's a very obvious reason why the last Dr. Wily stage is the best portrait stage. And the answer is simple, it's the last one. Because there is no more anyone after that. And I do say that in his last 8-bit appearance, Dr. Wily does give a quite good fight. Even though although I do find that the teleporting capsule that Wily has been resorting to every time after his... Oh, let's just pop out some... And I really don't remember what was the weakness of this, if there was one. Oh, I don't remember, it was a tomahawk. Oh yeah, and the weakness makes this fight a complete joke. But then again, that is the idea of the weakness, using the weakness, that it's gonna make the boss fight easier. And of course, bring out the beat. The beat doesn't do such a horrifyingly efficient job as it does in Mega Man 5, in which it absolutely murders Dr. Wily. In this one, just use the tomahawk. Mostly because Wily doesn't always appear at the nice, friendly, you can hit him height. But, final stage of course, well, being best just out of being virtue of being last, so it's refreshing to see Dr. finally kowtowing again and going to his jail, despite looking quite evil. So, best stage of portrait stage of Mega Man 6, the last one. Now, Mega Man 9 came out many years, which in video something like about 15 years or so. I didn't do the checking out of the when it came out, but it was basically old Mega Man series had been buried and forgotten when the Mega Man 9 game came out, and gave it a big resurrection. And as a result, it was bloody hard Mega Man game, as in to say hardest Mega Man game of the classic series without any kind of doubt. And as such, it had a much more merciless level low degree of difficulty. So, but still, the best Robot Master stage in this became to be Galaxy Man. Not only because of his nice flashy design, even though he looks quite silly, but the fact that the Mega Man 9 feels to be something like a, I could say, what could be called again, something like a second generation game, or however you wanna call it. Which is to say, people who made this game, I would like to think that were people who grew up playing classic series, the NES Mega Man games, and they remember them to be hard as hell, which, well, compared to this, they are not. But still, they remember them to be hard as hell, and they had played them so much that they became so good that they just simply were able to crush at them however they felt like it. So they made a game challenging for themselves that they would find difficult to figure out, and of course they also had the bit more powerful hardware in their use about the level designs and all that. But generally you could say that the designers made a game which was difficult for them, not basically a game judged by the casual players' idea of difficulty, which of course in a sense gives quite plausible explanation why this game is so steeply much more difficult than the previous Mega Man games. Which is what to say, it's a lot more difficult. Mostly because of the not so much of the tricky platformings and all that, or the tricky platformings made to be much more high stakes with the inclusion of plenty of spikes. I don't think there's any stage in this game which doesn't have deadly spikes in it. But still, this little puzzle part is not that complex, seeing how well Mega Man navigates through all the spinny little pipe things. Yeah, I can take that. But I find that the Galaxy Man stage is, you could say, the best of the bunch. Just in the sense that it's a good beginner stage. It doesn't have that many of the really difficult classic maneuvers like the three reappearing blocks which are occasionally known as Yoku blocks. It doesn't have them as a pest, and the general pipe platforming in this. It's a good beginner stage, which is, I find, to be that good Mega Man stage is good for a beginner. Is something that you can't, well, every Robot Master stage has to be designed so that they can be beaten without any special abilities, which of course is, well, kind of necessary because the player doesn't know where to start. But it's just the fact that this one has such hard level of difficulty compared to the earlier ones, might be partially explained with the. But you can say that the Mega Man 9's fascination with the deadly spikes can partially explained with a habit of being made by people who played Classics 1 and as such wanted to make game difficult for themselves. And I personally have nothing against that kind of design choice when it leads to good game. But Galaxy Man himself also has this kind of nice space-like gimmick. He ain't the most complex, also because of the pattern is very repetitive. Happens quite much as it was, but still his swoop down, swoops forward thing and the black hole bomb which sucks out him towards you makes him quite a bit of, you could say, fun boss to fight in that kind of sense. Especially when the fact that there's quite lots of this kind of moments of levity when he's just flying around, giving you much more opportunity to giving you a bit, quite lot of many moments to dish out lots of extra damage to him. But yeah, the best Robot Master stage of Mega Man 9, Galaxy Man, out of reason of being a good choice for a beginner stage, not having anything too excessively difficult despite having a couple of low blows. Now, there would be, you could say, a slight little understanding about how the photo stages of Mega Man 9, which, well, I was about to say, are quite merciless. Well, although just like every other photo stages, they do, however, can have a chance, or to say, they do have a chance of being a bit more complex than the regular Robot Master stages, because, well, there's no need to actually go for the make them so that you can defeat them without any special abilities, because they are present. But I personally came to the conclusion that the second Robot Master stage is the best one. Mostly because of the damn good music and basically much more interesting gameplay elements. That the first stage wasn't so full of, didn't have that many of those, you could say, real fun, interesting gameplay things. It's a compilation of all the basically best or worst obstacles that you might face, but as gameplay wise it ain't that good, mostly because of the many of those obstacles you might face tend to be of the sudden death type obstacles, which I'm not particularly keen. But this stage is just really good. And goodbye to you all. Shit. These little platform upwards going problems sequences tend to be bit more complex, especially if there happens to be timing problems involved. Oh yeah, Sniper Joe's shifted out the guns for the machine guns, but that's just basically just what could be expected, and with a tornado blow, there'll be very little. But even if the stage does demand to make use of the special weapons, which I find to be an interesting thing. There should be it's a little bit fine line that yes, you can make having a special ability necessary, which is not bad by itself, but in addition to that, there should also be the design to make the special state, make sure that the player actually can have all the necessary abilities to get through that special stage, which is, say, weapon energy pickups should be granted, and not just that. Make it so that there might be a opportunity for the player to get through that whatever location they are getting to that, or then they should add lots of random enemies just for the fact that you could then do some farming. Yeah, it's down. What? So what's it doing? Damn it. Yeah, these water stages can be a bit hazardous. But I'm gonna try to get through as much as I can. Mostly because, like all Mega Man 9, all fortress stages also tend to be of the bit more of the trickier kind. But mostly because of how much the designers love to make these sudden death traps. Not that the design itself was, not that the stage itself was particularly bad or unplayable. No, the stage is fine and the music is damn great, but they just love to add some of these death traps. Yeah, like that. Now trying to do a bit of difficult concrete shot maneuver. Not like that. Yeah, like that. Actually, let's just use the Hornet Chaser to top up. Yeah, Hornet Chaser is one of the, perhaps you could say, one of the most best Mega Man games, weapons, extra Robot Master weapons they brought to the game, mostly because of its utility value. This weapon, when a weapon has that much of practical use, it's gonna be great. But generally, you could say that the second stage of Dr. Wily is much better than the first one, even much better than the first one, which is the reason why I picked it up. Or even though, because the level of difficulty of Mega Man 9 is quite on the steep side. It was not that easy to go and pick up the best Robot Master stage, but in the end it just came to the fact that which stage is has had the better presentation about what they would be, and number 2 stage 1, even if it has this quite intimidating having this multi-phase boss and all that, but luckily at least this first phase is real easy. Yeah, it's got missiles, it goes down quite nicely. But I think that this phase is much with the need to oh yeah, the roof also was damaging, but that also went down, and it was also the second phase, so it's gonna be quite much simpler fact, and the fact that I have one E-tank just in case for the stage, which I'm gonna actually pop up right now. Yeah, and I think this is the only this kind of unique multi-phase boss. Like in this kind of sense that it keeps going like this. But still, interesting stage, interesting gimmick. Oh, at the boss, and that makes the best Megaman 9 stage. Now, Megaman 10 came out quite quickly after Megaman 9, something like similar time in compared to the Megaman 2 came out after 1, which would be about 1 year. But after thorough consideration and the once again playing with Proto Man, or Luz as he is in Japanese, it's time to decide that the best Robot Master stage is actually Pump Man. The water stage, and of course Megaman 9 was the first to make Proto Man playable, giving gameplay back the ability to slide and charge shot, which Megaman himself was lacking. And I'm also playing this stage at easy mode, just as a demonstration what it does. I've done the LP of this old classic Megaman series long time ago, so I don't need to prove that I can play through this game at the more difficult stage. But of course, easy mode way more friendly with drops and random drops, more one-ups, and of course the best part, the number of death bits is quite less, and of course Proto Man's sled, Proto Jet could be the name for that, which is quite fun. And of course Yashishi, I don't know exactly how it would be called, gives you all the stuff back. So yeah, easy mode is easy mode, and that's very obvious with all these platforming and all the platforming being so much easier. So yeah, easy mode. In this game you can really say that the easy mode is easy mode, even though the bubble generators also do their business quite fast. So yeah, there are still some, you could say, phases where actually there would be a slight, you could say, peril or challenge. But generally, well, easy mode's idea is that it is easy. But I find that in this game it might also almost make it too easy. But still, yeah, generally the best stage of this game, mostly because of the having a nicely contrasting showing of the water stage gimmick, which is usually mean that, well, of course it has spikes and it has water flows and all those, which are the general, which are how it's usually made these water stages go. But in this one it's they are quite unusually handled, so it makes it much more interesting. And of course inclusion of the waters to the stage boss fight itself with that little bobbly thing is a nice thing. This is basically much more refined design than the original than the Megaman 9, which just went to all out difficult. This one was much more reasonable, which I like. Now, at the Megaman 10's best Dr. Wily stage, which, and of course this will be the final Dr. Wily stage I'll be reviewing, it was kind of a struggle, because it generally I would say that they would want to make the first Dr. Wily stage to be really memorable and fun, which trying to of course emulate the great thing in Megaman 2, but I think in Megaman 10 they did it quite well, adding with this very bleak, dour rain part right at the beginning, and then blasting out right to the boss of the stage right from the start. I would say the first phase of the boss right to the start. The wily machine, which is basically, you could say that it would be something like a partway gimmick of the stage, partway, well, the wily machine, it might be something like a partial gimmick of the stage. And now the down music is gone and much more lively music is up, which is something that you would expect from the Dr. Wily stage, that it would have lively, fun, actiony music and not that kind of dour, heavyweight music. Yep, and of course all the alternative paths also make this stage much more interesting because of the you might wanna. Although I do say that the using of these alternative paths is really good, but how they are actually implemented in the gameplay is, I could say, big lacking, as in there is no really, you could say, inherent difference in all the how the and of course using all the very handy secret robot master bonus weapons as game allows it. Which is to say, those stage weapons were from the challenge stages, time attack stages, unique to that. Which of course, well, it would be a nice reward. Obviously it is a nice reward. Even though they tend to make things bit, you could say, almost unnecessarily easy. And I do find that these wily machine robot master versions tend to be almost easier than the original robot masters they based on. Even if there's some design. But yeah, Napalm Man, Flame Man, and well, Napalm Man and Flame Man were. Yeah, I have bad memory. Went down. But yeah, first Dr. Wily stage of Mega Man 10 generally is the best because of the interesting gimmicks of the swingy platformings, and I will say on the interesting gimmick of alternate routes, nice music, and of course the boss being spread all over the stage. So I would say that this is that kind of stage that Dr. Wily stages should be, as in it really makes you excited about these new fortress stages, about all the challenges that they're gonna throw at you. And of course it was, and in addition to all the regular challenges that the stage might throw up, they also throw out some new ones as well, which I do find to be would be the best idea, that when you're going for something, throw out something more than just what has already been faced. Alright, did one, yeah, no it didn't, but that it still is quite intimidating to see that Mirror Buster of Anchor is absolute murderer of sniper shows. And of course the Ballet Buster. I don't remember all these the name of these special weapons, which already appeared at the Game Boy Mega Man games, which tended to lack unique features. But Megaman 10's main level, first Dr. Wily stage, is the best one of them. And of course, Napalm Man. He went down quite not efficiently. But let's just, well, just to make sure that that the Slash Man, aka Robotic Wolverine, doesn't rip me apart. Mostly because of that quite unpleasant level of delay he has. You're out. Yeah. Dr. Wily stage 1. Best of Megaman 10, and this conclusion ends this episode as well, and whole video as well.